Hi, it's just a girl gardener, and I'm going to be chopping up my sweet potato plant. Well, not exactly. So, I think most of us are already familiar with the benefits of the sweet potato itself. But did you know that the leaves, as you're growing the sweet potatoes, are also very beneficial? Research has found that the sweet potato leaves themselves are being used to treat and prevent different types of diseases. It's also been found that the leaves are good in protecting the body against inflammation, aging, hypertension, and that is full of antioxidants, including things like vitamin C and others. So I'd recommend that you look it up. But today, I'm going to be chopping these leaves so that I can cook them. See, they're small, so I'm going to need a lot. But we're going to be chopping this up so that I can cook them for dinner, and I'll bring you along. So let me get to chopping. Hold on. So I've taken some of my plant here, and what we're going to do is just clip the bottom. Now, you could clip it further down, but then you'll end up chopping it when you go inside. So why bother, right? So I'm going to cut it closer up to the leaf, and this does not inhibit the plant from growing, or the big sweet potatoes from growing. They will continue to grow. More leaves will continue to be produced as the sweet potatoes are growing underground. And so, or for me, it's in my grow bag. So I'm just clipping these off, and then I'm going to take it inside, take my basket over here inside, and I'm going to saute, similar to a recipe that I would if I were sauteing spinach or some other greens like that. So you could use onion and garlic and peppers and things like that to saute in olive oil or butter, whatever you like. I'd recommend that you not use too much butter, since we are trying to be healthy, right? So try to use some olive oil, something like that, coconut oil, so that we're being a little bit healthy, but still get the great benefits and good taste for our dinner. So I've got chicken baking in the oven, and we're gonna have sweet potatoes to go along with it. Okay, so now we're inside with our lovely washed sweet potato leaves. And so some people keep the stems on. When I was looking online at the different recipes, I found lots of different cultures use the sweet potato leaves in their daily recipes. And so the recipe that I chose was based on my palate and honestly the ingredients that I have available in the house. And so I saw Asian, African, Latin American. So depending on your palate, decide what recipe you want to follow. So today we're doing a recipe that's Asian inspired. And so we have our pan here. We're heating that up. The oil, I have some olive oil already in here, and we're going to start out with, we're going to do three teaspoons of garlic. We like garlic, so we're going to do 3 teaspoons of garlic. I may turn that temperature down just a little bit because it is really cooking there. But I do have olive oil in the pan already, so we're going to go ahead and just saute that up just a little bit, not too much. We don't want to burn the garlic, but when you start smelling it, that's when you know you're cooking, right? So I have the garlic in there, and I'm going to go ahead and start adding my lovely leaves. So like I said, some people like to keep the stems on, and some folks may fuss in the comments about the nutritional value that you can still find within the stems, and that's fine, but I am not including them in mine today. Okay, but I do have some lovely leaves here that we're sauteing. Let me get a few more from my pot here. So I'm just adding this in here. I'm also going to add a little water Additionally, just so you know in advance what we're cooking with here, we've got the garlic, we'll have some water, the olive oil as the oil that we're using to saute. Then I'm going to be adding oyster sauce and soy sauce, not much. And so what I found about the sweet potato leaves is that just in looking at it, they look very similar to spinach, but in my research I found that folks were saying that it actually is even more nutritious than spinach. It is high in iron and vitamin D and zinc and protein. It also, as I mentioned before, was an anti-inflammatory, helps to enhance your immune system, your metabolism, lowering your blood sugar, all kinds of great things contributing to healthy living with sweet potato leaves. And like I said before, the plant itself continues to grow, so don't think that this will inhibit your actual sweet potatoes that are growing. You can cut the leaves off and the plant will continue to thrive. I first became curious about if the leaves were edible because I came home one day and I saw that a rabbit or something had been eating up my leaves. And so I was like, oh, let's cover this plant and then let's do a little bit of research about the leaves. So I did. So here we have we're gonna add, now that we've got that nice and soft, we're gonna add a little bit of this oyster sauce. I'm only including about a teaspoon of oyster sauce. That's not very much. I'm gonna go ahead and add some of the water in here. You shouldn't need very much water. Depends on your pan, on your heat, your oil source. So in the Salad Master pan, I did not need a whole lot. So I'm also going to include a little bit of soy sauce in here, not a lot. We don't want this to be too salty. But as you can see, if you look at it, it looks very similar to spinach. So I'm curious of what this is going to taste like. So we'll just mix that around with the garlic. And that's about it. If you include the stems, it may take a little bit longer for it to soften because the stems are a little bit harder. But the leaves, this is pretty interesting. This is my first time having sweet potato leaves, so I'm curious to see what it will taste like. So let's go ahead and get a taste. Hold on. Okay, so I just wanted to grab some chopsticks to go along with the Asian theme of this recipe. So it is pretty hot. It's not as soft as spinach, but it's really tasty. It kind of has a citrusy kind of taste to it, but it's really good. So I would just encourage you to give it a try, okay? Look up sweet potato leaves, probably in like an Asian market or an international market, Asian market, Hispanic market, African market, because I have never seen sweet potato leaves sold in just your traditional American supermarket. So I would encourage you to try an international supermarket and go online, take a look. YouTube had a ton of recipes for sweet potato leaves. It was very interesting. So like I said, iron, protein, zinc, enhances your immune system, metabolism, lowers your blood sugar, nutrition, all kinds of nutritional value when it comes to the sweet potato leaves. So anti-inflammatory, a lot of anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. So take a look. I encourage you to try it. I did. I'm really liking it. So this is going to go great with tonight's dinner. So this is Just a Girl Gardener, sharing a little bit about what I'm learning on this gardening journey. Blessings to all of you.